Hey everybody, I'm doing some night sketching from my car here in Jamestown. I have my sketchbook on my lap and you can't really see it, but I have my document camera positioned above my steering wheel. There, it's shadowy, but maybe you can see it. And then over here, I have my computer, so I'm going to try to record a time-lapse painting in my car. Let's see if this works. Alright, it's been about maybe 35 minutes of sketching in the car, and this is where I'm at with the finished piece. I'll hold it up to the background that I drew, but there's no way you can really get the full effect from in the car. It's dark and I'm using an iPhone, so yeah. So this has been my setup. I watched myself draw on my computer. That was pretty awesome. I think the document camera worked fairly well, so I guess I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Now I'm gonna head back to my studio and do the painting. I didn't bring any paints along to my car. I figured that I would have to paint back in the studio. Kind of regretting that choice now. I wish I would have brought my paints. I may actually just go pick them up and come back here. We'll see. This is where I was parked for the night. Here's my car by the Hardys. Brr, it's too cold. Okay, I did just a smidgen more drawing, and now I am headed back to my apartment to do the painting. Hi, Marshawn. Here's my setup. I got my computer so I can record a time lapse for you. My water cup that the third graders at Washington Elementary gave me. It was my going away present when I concluded my artist residency. Let's look over here. This is my palette that I'm going to use. It's pretty dirty. I don't clean it very frequently. It's this St. Petersburg Original Watercolors 24 Full Pan by Jack Rikison. I've been using this palette for a couple of years now when I travel and for a lot of my studio pieces. I lost a few of my colors. I know I lost my black, which isn't a huge loss because I was using Payne's Gray most of the time instead of black anyways. I think I lost a couple of greens and maybe a yellow, and those I actually would like to have. So it's not a complete palette, but pretty close. All right, let's get started painting. I know I'm going to be using gouache for this scene, so I'm going to go ahead and get the colors that I'm sure that I'll use. I'll be using black, just a little bit, Prussian blue, cerulean blue, mauve, purple, white, yellow, orange, so basically all the colors, and green. So for this piece I've been using indigo, and actually that's all. So plans changed, guys. I decided that instead of doing the gouache, I'm just gonna go with indigo right now. And I still need to go in and add just a little bit of color. Hi, Marshawn. Because I do want to get that feel that we're in the city, that we have the street lights glowing and the stoplights behind me. and all of that good stuff. So I am still going to add a few pops of color once this dries. But for right now, I'm going to stop with the indigo. No gouache. Who knew? So now that the painting has had a chance to dry for about 15 minutes, I'm going back into it with a mixture of yellow watercolor that was already on my palette, so I'm not really sure which color of yellow it is, but I'm mixing yellow with white gouache, and that's going to give it just a little bit more opacity up in the sky. If I were going to use just yellow watercolor, it would be a little bit too transparent to cover up the indigo the way that I'm looking for. I want this to be really soft and foggy because the snowstorm was moving in, and so the sky was kind of a mixture of dark and cloudy white, and so I'm trying to get that effect up into the sky. After I finished the sky, I moved into some of the other areas like the signs and the buildings, and I used pretty muted colors for the buildings because it was dark, so we couldn't really see what colors they actually are, but the signs were bright and glowing, so I tried to get that effect by using a few layers of watercolor paint, and I'm also going into some of the finer details in the buildings at this time too. It looks terrible, but that's okay because the selfie camera is also terrible. I'm taking a break from painting. The paint is drying. And when I know that it's 100% dry, then I'm going to go back into it with some black micron pen once again to kind of redefine some of those finer lines, but just in the extreme foreground. I don't want the background to have any excess detail because background is far away. We don't see detail in background. At this point in the painting, I need to kind of think about what is the purpose of this sketch and what am I trying to convey. I really want to keep it very gestural. I want things to be a little bit cloudy, so I'm going to stop with the detail in the background. All right, so the painting has had a good opportunity to dry, and I am getting ready to go back into it with some finer details. Bright pops of color are what I'm looking for now. So, to help me achieve this, I am going to turn to the help of some additional supplies. I have watercolor pencils, oil pastels, and an array of brush-tipped markers and really ultra fine tipped markers as well. So my plan, I want to brighten up these signs and accentuate the street lights a little bit more, and I still need to add the stoplights, and I still need to add the lights in the season's greeting sign and the lights in the little Christmas trees that are affixed to the street lights as well. So I'm going to do that right now. So I thought of one other thing I'm going to do to my picture. I am going to glue my pages down now because they're starting to crinkle, and before I do any work with my oil pastels or my markers, I want to make sure that I have a flat surface to work with so that I can draw straighter and finer lines. So I'm going to use my glue stick. I glue down all of my pages. It helps to make the sketchbook easier to handle too, so that way later if I give it to friends to look through, the pages are a little bit stiffer when they're thumbing through them, so they can turn the pages easier. The street is so beautiful, and the season's greeting sign was what drew me to this initially. I love living in Jamestown, and really everyone here has made me feel so at home. And so turning the corner and seeing that season's greeting sign, I truly felt it in my heart, and that was what I was trying to capture with the sketch. But then, of course, as you're sitting there painting, as it happens, you start to notice other things in your surroundings, and obscuring the beautiful cathedral were several neon signs, Wells Fargo Bank being one of them. Federal Credit Union is the parking lot that I was sitting in. Thank you, Federal Credit Union. Also, I think the Federal Credit Union also may have donated some apples to the Art Center. If you did, thank you for those. I'm going to enjoy them this weekend. At some point I noticed that all of these light up signs were just sort of obstructing the view, and I started to think about what Main Street might have looked like before all of these light up signs, and I just thought that it was important to show how it looks right now. All right, so I've gone in with oil pastel, and it has made all the difference in the world in terms of light in this piece. These signs in the foreground are just glowing now, and same with my street lights and my Christmas tree lights. For the lights in the optometrist office, I've used the brush tip markers, and on the season's greeting sign, I used my trusty white gel pen that I got at Dollar General. And then a little tiny bit of white oil pastel here and there, but I think I still don't really see the season's greeting sign as standing out the way I want it to. So I'm going to go in with just a little bit of white gouache, maybe slightly tinted with yellow so it looks more like a light bulb, because I need to get just a little more light there, and then I think this piece will be done. I am so happy with this piece. This is one of my favorites all year, which, I mean, fine, it's January 10th, but it's one of my favorites in the entire sketchbook, which was started last year.
Hey everybody, it is about 5 a.m. I have just completed this sketch in my sketchbook of Highway 281 in Jamestown. It's a major intersection here in Jamestown, North Dakota. This is the junction of Highway 281 and fill that in later. What drew me to this location was the season's greeting sign that has been hanging up since around the 1st of December. I knew my days were numbered. It's January 10th right now, and I knew that any day now the city workers would be coming to take that sign down. So I figured I better go out tonight and do a sketch from my car, even though we are in a wind chill advisory. Pretty much all of North Dakota is. So I sat in my car for about 20 minutes and I made this sketch, and here's where I'm at after it's all completed. I used indigo, watercolor, white gouache, little bit, a yellow color that was already on my palette, I'm not really sure what it was, a hint of orange watercolor and brown watercolor here and there, several shades of brown. And then after all of that was dry, I went back over the top with oil pastel. Now, oil pastel is kind of messy, so I will have to spray down this paper with a clear acrylic sealer. But otherwise, I just love how this turned out. So here's where I'm at the end of the day. I am exhausted. I actually just boiled a pot of coffee, so I'm going to be up for a little bit longer. This is where I'm going to peace out for the night. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel, and hope to see you again very soon. Cheers!